Hello. Hi, it's Rose. Hey, wanted to take a few minutes today and just show you some fun and unique ideas and different ways that you could play with the field notes kit from the Secret Garden. I think a lot of these will work with things that you have also at home, and not necessarily only Secret Garden, but a lot to do with more personally the bits from the Secret Garden and the field notes kit. But I also want to show you some of the things and just talk a little bit about the storyline, because in case you're not following along, some of the items now that are in the freebies may or may not make sense. So if you want to kind of get a little bit more of an idea why something might have been included in this particular kit, the audiobook, there's a link to the playlist on the audiobook on this channel. So far I'm through chapter 9. I'm getting ready to put up another 3 more chapters. There's about 20 chapters, and so it's a short story. It's not really a novel, but it is fun and not necessary. But if you're curious about why some of the things are added, that's a good way for you to know. And so I wanted you to see, it's definitely, the Secret Garden has a couple of different ways that you could do it. And so you don't have to be doing it the way that I'm going to be doing it. But these are fairies. So there's a couple of fairies. These are postcards. I wanted to show you first, in case you didn't know, how to put together postcards. Okay, and so these here are also postcards. In the storyline, there is an artist, and these are paintings from that artist. So they're fun to include. Let's see. So let me just start, first of all, with putting together a postcard that might be in any of my kits, in case you didn't know. So I cut them out, and I cut both sides. It is not mandatory, this is a smaller one, that they be glued together, but the idea is to fold them, to use a bone folder and smash them closed. What you could do is not seal them up at all. These ones have a little bit of a rounded corner. Not all of them do. So if it has a rounded corner on the front, I clip it off. You can ink the edges if you like. And so it can be left just like this if you wanted, and leave a writing spot in the inside. It's nice to have kind of a hidden writing spot. Or you can glue it together. So I just added quite a bit of glue. And I'm on mine here, I'm just sealing them together. This is a smaller one. Here's another one. These are ones that come with the junk journal kit. But quite often my kits do have a set of postcards in them. You can layer them up if you like. It's really nice too if what you're wanting to do is create a flip. So you can not seal them up and use it to create a flip in some way. Some of them will have a little bit of an extra on the side. So once it's glued together, generally I'll just cut that off and trim the edges. So I thought that was self-explanatory, but some people had asked, and so I'm sharing that. This will be also to the video that if you've been following along and you have questions about, what is this for? How do we use this? What did, can you make more of this? Something like that, because I'm getting ready at this point to kind of switch gears into creating digitally for Scotland. And so what starts to happen is that I get a little bit focused on the digital stuff, and I have to create at the same time. My mind gets a little bit all over the place, but I'm telling you, I'm switching gears digitally. So one part of my work ends up being creating the kit for next month, and I'm really enjoying that. I hope that you guys will notice that I have on the coffee site, I put up what the kits will be through the end of the year, and I put the color palette on there so that if what you want to do is gather some items, sometimes, like, I ordered a bunch of lace and charms from Temu, and some other metal components that I wanted to try. It kind of gives you an idea of looking forward if you want to follow along for that month. I'm also going to make things just a little bit smaller. This Secret Garden collection was massive in its effort in things that match with it. And I've been challenged, we'll see if I can do it, to shift a little bit and have a project each week instead of a full, it'll have a full junk journal kit collection, but also some smaller projects if you don't want to dive deep into the bigger project that you'd be able to do. The very first one for that kit in August is actually some British passports, and I think the first one is a travel kit that could be made into something that goes with your Scotland journal, but also the British passport kit is something that you might have fun with anyway, on its own, and could go with a lot of travel journals. So that's kind of the example of what I was kind of meaning there. So I'm just showing you again from start to finish how I put together the postcards. And the reason I'm doing that is because it kind of takes a segue into how I put together some of the field notes that were, or the specimen slides, sorry, that were included. So I'm just going to actually set those aside until I get ready to write, use them right at the time, and then decide if they're going to be a flip or if they're going to be glued together. But I wanted you to see how they go together because that's how I did these. So these are specimen slides that come with the field notes kit, okay? And they're just basically, you cut it out and fold it together. So I kind of put them together. Some people are super intimidated. It's got like the mushroom on the back. They're super intimidated by having to cut out this space. At least I know I was in the beginning. So I put some together you could do really quick and fast and have some things to tuck in your field notes journal or to put them along the side. So that's kind of the idea of going together the very same way that a postcard would. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is what I'm going to do with some of these. These come with the Thankful Thursday, and I wanted to use some of these, and I left them purposely like this for a reason, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with them, but I will probably choose, since I just have 2 signatures, I will probably choose I think maybe just 2 of them to work like that. So this is the bee, Queen Bee Fairy, and let's see, which ones should I pick? Oh, maybe I'll put them on one page. That's what I'll do. So on these, I'm going to score right along this edge. And the same on this edge here. Okay, so I also used a bone folder to smush down the crease here, and I am just going to add glue. Picked a page, and I'm gonna just make these so that this little page here will be a set of flips. One on one side, and then probably one on that side. And I'm not gonna finish the whole page today because kind of today I'm just really wanting to go through and give you tips, tricks, ideas with this kit. Okay, so then here in here probably would get pockets. You know, there's lots of different things that I could put in there, and I'll probably put like a cute little fussy cut right here to keep it closed. Let's put one in the other signature. Probably put one here, just like that. Okay. Another thing is that it comes with a page of these, and I used some of this in my lap book, and if you don't use all of it in your lap book, I wanted you to see that possibly also too. These could be pockets, and they can be cut like this for pockets, or a whole tuck itself, maybe even a flip out here. I'm just giving you ideas, okay, of what things I kind of had an intention for. So these are the same type of thing here. I've done the same thing with a lot of the envelopes also. I've cut them out. I did print them double-sided, not single-sided, with the intention that they could be a notebook cover. Some of them I may make notebook covers. Okay, some of them I may seal them up and use them as a stuffed pocket because they look super cute as a flip with a stuffed pocket. So I don't always seal them up. It's completely up to you. I just wanted to give you a couple of different ways of using those. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that I'm going to cut these out, and I'm going to use these to make specimen slides in a couple of different ways. So there's 9 squares, so 1 square will not be used. And let me show you how I'm going to cut it. Okay, so I'm going to cut off this edge here. And then I'm going to decide which one will look best to stand alone. I think this one will be okay. So basically going to cut this one. This will be the one that I use just one-sided. I think I may leave this as a flip just in case. I'm going to leave that edge there just in case I want it as a flip later on. But it could totally be cut off. So I'm going to leave myself with one here, and I paid attention to kind of the patterning where when it's folded, it's not going to matter up and down. So I'm just going to cut this out, but I'm not cutting the corners. And that's another tip, which is that anything that I'm cutting out that may already have a rounded corner, when I cut it out, I do not cut the rounded corner. I just cut like a straight edge and leave the corner. And I do that so that it helps me to get my corners to match when I cut them out. So this one I folded this way. I'm going to do that. I'm going to cut the others out. I'm going to leave probably one of these as a flip so that I'll have that if I want, just as an option. Half the time I end up cutting it off, but it's nice that if I'm preparing something ahead of time that I've got left myself a little bit of options. So on these, I'm just cutting them out. See how I've left myself a little lip for this one. So you could do these with any ATC cards. That's what this size is. And I'm just going to cut them and then I'll trim them. I'll trim them off camera. And we'll make some fun specimen slides. See, because they'll get folded right like that. Okay, so I've also printed some of these on acetate. And let's see. I'm just showing you what I did. I'm going to go ahead and I'm using, you can use a punch. So these could be one or double-sided. It's up to you. This will just make this one double-sided. And these ones have a little notch so you can kind of see where they are. But I'm going to use a oval punch on this one. And I will save and use those. And now I've got myself a little window. I didn't exactly get it straight, but I'm not going to worry about it. And so then what I can do is decide, using this little frame, you know, what I think will work. So let's actually do this flower here. So I'm just going to cut out the acetate. And so if you have the kit, you might have wondered, why did she leave so much room? I left enough room so that you could use them as specimen slides. So and that may not have been enough room even. Okay, so now I'm just going to glue that in. So that's one tip or trick you can do without having to cut out the inside to make a specimen slide, is to use a punch that's a shape that you already have. That'll work with a square, it'll work with an oval, it'll work with a circle. And then I'm just gluing it down on both sides. Looked nicer if I would have inked my edges and the inside, but I didn't do that. So now I'm going to just trim this anywhere that it needs to be trimmed on the outside before I round the corner edges. Let's see, up top here even. I kind of look at that both on both sides, and now I'm actually going to ink it. One thing that I love about the transparent slides is that they look really nice when they're layered on a page. Let's see if I can show you. See, it'll need to be a fairly light page, but what you can do now is, you know, there's so many tiny little bits and bob things to add to the outside of your specimen card, including adding like a tab, whatever. I'm not going to decorate each one of these. I kind of want to show you more the construction method, and then I'll show you the inspiration at the end. So that's one way, is to do it that way. Okay, so another thing that happens to me often is that I end up with fussy cuts or flowers or things, and I'm not sure what to do with the page because I really am feeling lazy and I don't want to cut things out. I printed out on a book page. So that's kind of what I've done here. I've given that option within the Field Notes kit. So there's a couple of pages like that. You may have wondered, well, why did she do that? That's why, because often out of quickness and just putting things together, I will print specimens on book page. And so what I'm going to do, and I probably will trim these later on, but I'm basically going to give myself enough room around each of these here. You can see I'm just cutting them like this. So now I've just kind of cut up that sheet here, and they're a little bit varied widths there, and I'm going to use the same thought process on creating a cut shape. Okay, on this one, I'm actually just going to use a tag shape to make it what I want. And this one, I'm going to make it so that I think about my width here of my opening of this, and you can see that I know that I've got that much, but I'm kind of looking at how far I'm going to need to come over to do that. So I'm just guesstimating in my head, right? So I think probably centering it first, and then I'm going to come down again, and I'm going to make sure that my edges match here with my punch. And by edges, I mean here, that they overlap, so that what I'm doing is cutting a bigger, see how I've got that? Okay, and so I just want to make sure, just measuring here, so I've got maybe just a little bit more that I could cut out from this side to make it even. I'm going to flip my punch over, or my paper, either one, and then again, just align my punch on my edges. So I've aligned it along this side here, and I'm gonna see, I'm cutting out, and I'm gonna do the same thing here. This is another way to do it with a smaller punch that has two of the edges you'd like. So this could be also a situation where I'm not using this part. I've done it before where I'm using this part and then made it kind of a longer octagon shape. Okay, but that's how I've gotten my hole now for this one, and I've cut both sides. Oops, let's see. Okay, so for this one, I could use some of the book page and then place that in there, one on one side and then one on the other. what I'm wanting to do is, because I don't have a ton of them where they have both openings, I'm actually going to just use one of the mushrooms, because a lot of my cards are these single side, and that's where these actually work super wonderfully, is in something that has just one side. So I wanted to show you, you can put the page in here. I'm going to do that in this one here. Okay, so this is the one that is the single one that I was going to make a flip, and all I'm going to do is actually trim this just smaller, as if it was the opening of my you can use an oval punch. You could just use a square if you want. We'll just use the oval punch for ease. And then glue it on as if it was a window that you cut, but so it's kind of like with a faux window. Put all the glue. Assemble it this way. I'm going to actually score this so that it's folded. That way you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. That makes it a really quick and fast way if you're wanting to kind of like mass make your field notes. So that's another way to do it. In fact, the easiest way, if you wanted to do them really fast, is to just get one of these pages and the ATC card size and punch these out or cut these out. So this could be also, I'll show you in just a second here. I'll show you another way. Don't be afraid to write on it. I'm writing the name on this one. Make it your own. This one I've just cut out, and I'm going to round the edges so that it looks like a little opening. Ink my edges. So in this one, I'm not gluing this one shut. What I'm going to just do is add it to the outside. And I'll decorate this one up like it was a slide on the one side, but then what I'm going to do is leave it as a book or a flip, an opening, so that it has a little more interest. Oops. It's got the back on it. Probably this will be something like a little pocket here. Maybe a half pocket here, and then something to tuck in here. I may use some of the labels to create a back, but this way, this one will get decorated as if it was a filled slide on this side, but then leave it open to being something else. So that's another idea of a way to do it fast for you. That is the same thing on these here. So let me show you. Okay, these I'm cutting from this square one that I printed again on acetate. It could be printed on sticker paper, on regular paper, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to imagine that I think it will go right there. I'm just going to trim this. With my scissors, probably even just a little more. Okay, a couple different ways to attach these. One of them is just using your tiny attacher. So it looks super cute if you do it that way, just like this. You can do it like that. That's plenty enough to do. So I think I'll do a couple of those like that. I need to trim this off. Trim these. What I'll do is take my pencil and I'll kind of like make up whatever it is that I'm going to make up about it to write in the space there. So that's a couple ways to do it. You can use some tape like this. This is some of the like printable faux tape printed on sticker paper. So just gonna, there's lots of tutorials on how to make it. A couple of my kits have this included. So I'm just going to cut it out and use it to, so just added a little bit of tape there and taped it for character. Another way to attach them is to get a little pokey tool. I don't know if I have one super handy. We'll see if I can do it with this one. Kind of get it where you want, and then I'm just gonna poke a hole, and I'm gonna use a brad. So I'm just adding now a little bit of stuff for the top, and I'm gonna use a tiny attacher to do that. There. You can notice you could spend as much, or you know, depending on what your goal is here. These probably, I will probably ink them. I like to pay my granddaughters to do a lot of my inking. So this is one made with a brad. So again, so you can attach it with a brad, you can attach it with a tiny stapler or with some tape. You can also add string to the top. Okay. So these are fairly easy to put together here too. I'm just going to glue them where I want and then seal it up. So to do that, I'm just going to add glue around the edge. And I've inked the inside. Just place this where I want. Trim any of the excess edges here. And I'm just going to seal this up. And I'll spend some time later on, maybe in front of a show or something. I rarely watch TV, so that's a lie. Sitting on my patio doing something, but I will, you know, kind of fill these out and ink them some more so that they have a little bit more of a, you know, a feel to it. Okay, probably trim the edges there. After it is glued together, that's when I kind of trim the little parts and do any corner rounding that I need to do with my corner rounder. This clearly needs to be inked, but that gives you an idea, right? just want to show you before I move to that. These can very easily get these. They fit perfectly. So I will do some like that with the double-sided ones. In fact, let's do 1 or 2 right now. These smeared a little bit because I picked them up right away. So be careful when you're printing on acetate that you don't touch it until it's dry. Otherwise, you will end up in the position that I'm in at the moment. So you'll just ink in the inside. Notice I've left that open there on both sides, okay? And it helps if you leave it on the paper, the backing paper, so that you can kind of see. And now I'm just going to make sure that it fits. Okay, and add glue on one side. Place it where I want. I'm going to remove the paper and seal it up. Sorry about the glare. I've tried to shift it a couple different ways, and it's nearly impossible to. So that happens when there's the acetate or the sticker paper. I just want to, I feel like there's so much to continue to cover. I'm going to kind of streamline this and go fast. Some of it is repetitive in the sense that it might be like insects and stuff or other things that you collect, but the basic ideas are the same. So on these here, I'm gonna want, because I didn't do a lot of the individual insects cards, I'm actually gonna cut these and just show you what I do. Those are just basically, those other cards are just basically going to get a sticker on it and then more stickers. So a lot of it is just decorating, but let's just, okay. So knowing that I have also, this is clear sticker paper here. Knowing that I have also these here that I'll want to fill and these here, what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to lay these out right now, given I have only a certain amount, and it's another way to approach it if you're wanting to use up most of what you have. So I'm just thinking about the shape and what will fit, where things will fit, because these are kind of more long and narrow, and these ones are more of a square shape. See if that makes sense. All right, so I'm going to kind of leave these ones for square shape, just based on probably like that. And making sure I have some variety that so that's probably okay. And because this is all I've got left without printing up other stuff, I may print I may print more. Let's see. Okay, so all I'm going to do actually to put these ones together, I'm going to put them together a little bit differently because there's not as many stickers and stuff in relation to these. But what I want to do is I'm going to treat these less exactly like a specimen card and more like a collage card, so to speak. But I do want to get these placed down, and I'm just going to peel and stick. And I can tell right now it's going to be better for me to trim some of these before. Okay, so before I switch over to this one, I'm just basically doing the same thing with these cards here. Okay. So now what do you do with these here? Because I don't really want them to be on a white background. I'm going to set these aside here, and I'm going to cut these out. Well, let's see. This one can go. I'm going to treat these as individual ones and actually add, even though they're butterflies, maybe not. Oh, we'll use these because it's the right shape. Okay, and so now off camera, I'm going to cut these apart the same way I showed you earlier in the video. Okay, so I'm just going to actually leave these as probably hang tags. They may or may not go in my field notes journal, depending, but I did make them up, and a little bit later on I'll probably sit and kind of fill those out. But I wanted to show you what those look like made up with the insects on it. Okay, so I also cut out these. Okay, and so those will need to be decorated. I do want to show you the next thing, which is that, okay, so a couple of decisions to be made is if you have your little guys on clear sticker paper, you get to decide whether you're going to want it to be transparent in the center or not. If you do or not, you can get quite a few more cards per sheet. I'm going to show you how to do both ways. So you'll need a piece of acetate that is going to fit in the inside of your card, just slightly short of what I'm just going to make a cut and measure. What I've done is just cut straight here and straight here so that I can match those edges when I fold. It works a little bit better if instead of matching the actual edges, you match the edges of your slide as best you can. It's easy to trim around the outside, but less easy to trim on the slide, getting the slide straight. That's okay. So you'll fold it together can see how your acetate fits. Mine's a little bit big. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and glue it together before I put my thing on. So you could mass make these ahead of time with a piece of acetate in the center if you wanted to. And just keep in mind that I'm just giving you ideas. There's no must. These are just different ways to use these, or even to create your own. If you bought a kit that had, you know, frames in it, it'd be fun to put those in the frames. Okay, now I'm going to trim it and then ink around the outside. Okay, just like that. And then you can put in your sticker. So you can see here where the sticker is. It's like the sheet I used was a little oxidized or something, but there it is. I'll fill this stuff probably, we can even just do it right now so that it feels complete. So I'm just going to make up a random number and then repeat it on the other side, 27852. Those are pretty simple. Okay, so now what if you don't want to have a transparent background? So what I'm going to do is trim these again as close as I can to the element that you're working with. Let's see. What I'm going to do here, we'll make these two separate cards, is I'm just going to glue this right here to some coffee dye paper, the whole thing. You can see I've inked the edges in the center quite well. Put these upside down, but it won't make a difference. Then you just add your item. Okay. So I'll show you everything that I finished at the very, very end of the video. I have one more thing I want to share with you right now. And I got out my field notes book. I haven't done anything in the inside of it yet, so except for the signature, but I did want to create a couple of paper clips very quickly, because I want to be able to have something that will hold some of the smaller pieces of the almanac in here that are like informational bits. So I'm just going to show you what I've done is these tags here. These were in, oops, rows. These tags here, there's a page of them, were intended for like the Field Notes journal if you wanted to be able to do some of the other type of animals and stuff, if you wanted to include all the animals in kit. Here's just a few more. They're really beautiful. Love them. Okay, so I've picked one that I have cut just the two of them together. And then I just want to, oops, I'm adding glue fairly liberally. And I'm going to use 2 paper clips. Put the paper clips on first if you want. Just like that. And then I'm going to place this around it. You can see right now that this sticks out, so I've just shifted the paper clips so that they're still hidden. Okay. Just gonna trim it. And I'm wanting you to just to show you that how easy that is. And yes, it needs to be inked, and yes, you could add all of the bells and whistles. Let me just show you what I mean. So I'll just pick a page. It just becomes really easy to kind of tuck something like that in, or some other kind of informational graphic or whatever that you would like in there. Okay, so that's pretty much all that I have to show you today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you stay tuned, I'll kind of give you an overview of the things that we made today, and I'm not yet ready to put them into my journal, but stay tuned. I'll show you some of the ideas, maybe, we'll see. I'm really short on time these days, but I did want you to see all of the pieces that will go into it, and then maybe we'll see how much further I get on this, because we also have to do the sketchbook and the almanac. So anyways, I'm Rose. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you.